We call them in NLP frames for success. You know, some of the real distinctions that that make a difference when you're pursuing changes, you know, and pursuing your goals. And the first one I want to talk about is this one called cause versus effect. And believe me, if you were to do this, it will kind of propel you forward, probably faster than anything else. There tends to be two different kinds of people in the universe. People that are at cause of their universe and people that are on the effect side of the universe. Any idea what kind of person would be on the effect side? So they're at the effect, and the word gives you the clue really. They're at the effect of everything that goes on around them. So they're on the effect side. Any ideas what kind of person that might be?
Somebody who can take control of their life, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. It's tends to be the kind of, I don't like the word, but I'm going to write it up here. You know, the victim mentality. So they don't take control. You know, everything is somebody else's fault. You know, I'm sure you've met people like this. You know, I really would do that, but, you know, blah, 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 blah. A list of excuses comes out afterwards. So you tend to get people that are on the effect side of the scenario. And what tends to happen in their lives is they might do something. It may not work. And so what tends to happen is they then look outside of themselves to find a reason or an excuse, you know, why they haven't achieved what it is that they want to achieve. And we've all been there, haven't we? We've all been there. I mean, it's sometimes I have to laugh, you know, when I find myself occasionally, not too often, but occasionally on the effect side of the scenario. I'm thinking, oh, okay, I need to really ask myself some questions about this. So the thing about being a victim is that you tend to lead your life in quite a disempowered way. And these people very much are where? Where do we talk about? Right at the beginning of the day. You know, people that are on the... yeah, absolutely. You know, the grey zone is full of people that are at effect because, you know, they haven't got enough time, sorry Sheila, or money or whatever it might be, you know, to go and do what it is that they really, really want to do. So on the other side of the scenario, we've got people that we describe as being at cause. So if someone's at cause, what kind of person would that be, would you say? Yes, they're much more proactive. That's absolutely right. And very important is they take responsibility. Sometimes my spelling goes a bit strange up here, but that needs to go there. But they take responsibility for things that happen in their life. So whatever happens to them, they take a much more proactive view. So whatever happens, they would actually ask themselves, you know, what have I done to create this in my universe? You know, what have I done to create this right now? What is it that I've done, you know, that in some way has led to this happening? And what do I need to do differently next time? So two very important questions. What have I done to create this in my life? And two, you know, what have I learned and what do I need to do differently next time? Because if we don't learn, you know, we stay in our little hamster going round in our hamster wheel. And most of my work is about helping people move from that side, you know, to from the effect side to the cause side of the scenario. Because what happens if something happens in your life and you ask yourself, you know, what have I done to create this? Then what's likely to happen? What's different to if you were just blaming the whole world? What's different in that? That's right. You will come up with some ideas. I mean, it's simple, really. You know, if you ask yourself that question, then I guarantee you will come up with some ideas of what you need to do differently. Whereas if you're on the effect side and it's always somebody else's fault, then you never ever have the opportunity to come up with those new ideas. That makes sense? And very, very important, because if you put yourself at cause in your life, in your universe, then that one thing will help move you forward faster than anything, I can guarantee. Because could you imagine a life with no excuses? Could you imagine a life with no excuses? And some people say to me, but Lindsey, actually, you know, it's easier. Life's much easier being on the effects side of the scenario. And that's always the quandary, isn't it? Because, you know, the dilemma of the grey zone is that comfortable, uncomfortable place. You know, it's what you know. It's what you know. And yet, actually, it's not what you want, or it's not what you know you're capable of. And it's only when you're prepared, you know, to make that shift across to the cool side and start really to take responsibility for everything that happens to you. You know, everything. Then you start to get some very different learnings about those experiences. So very, very interesting concept. And what I really urge you to do is when you leave here is just, you know, pretend you're at calls for a week and see what happens. You know, notice how your life begins to change.